Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to another edition of the Suplah. I'm just changing the title screen because it's completely wrong. Welcome! I am Andy Corn, I think I already said that, and with me as always is Sam Brooks.
I forgot to send you a new thing. Oh no.
That's why I changed
Oh,
it.
this is a disaster.
That's why I changed
How
it.
horrible.
That's why I was like, oh Jesus, oh God.
Quickly change it.
I'm trying, send it over, quickly.
I sent it over. Well, you just zoomed in a little bit. Oh my god. What are you doing?
I didn't know what to do. I panicked. I hit the play button. I hit play and then I was like, oh shit, it's not ready. Anyway, we also have Keelan Boulderson.
Hi, I don't have a clue what's going on because I don't have responsibilities, so hello.
It's probably best that you don't, given the current circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, I have responsibilities, and clearly...
Have you got it? Have you received it?
I have received it, Roger, I'm just changing it now. Oh god, it's all zoomed in though. Oh no, is it zoomed in? Is it
fucking zoom out a little bit.
Oh Lord in heaven. Oh no, is it zoom out? Zoom out. Is that... No, that's still too big. No, that's still too big. I need the biggest birdseed you have. Oh no, wait, that's too big.
It's a horrible way to start the show.
We did it. I've got it back. I think that's all right now. I think we're all good.
Yeah.
Are we good?
All right.
There you go. We got there in the end. So hello there. Welcome to the Suplah. I'm currently looking at the stream, and is it fine, Sam? Double check it for me.
Yes, it's fine. Oh my god.
Wonderful. Okay. So we do have a chat. Voidstorm is in the chat. He says, she says. I don't know who. I'm just assuming.
It's a he. Yeah,
he says. Hey lads, brilliant, love it, perfection. Yeah, well, that's what we do here. What
a great start. Fucking flawless.
That's if anything, if Andy Con's anything.
Do we have a super chat yet? Give us money.
I don't think we're ever going to have one of those.
No. Remember the Patreon?
Not really.
Exactly. That's probably a reason why no.
So yeah, we are on the air. This week has been a very, very weird week.
Bad.
Yeah, one of the reasons
it's the 2020 of wrestling weeks.
Yeah.
Let's not just dance around it, alright? Let's just be frank and honest. A lot of bad things have happened.
Very, very bad things. One of the reasons why we didn't do a show is literally because I couldn't bring myself to do a show without, like, I don't know, mentally preparing myself for this journey we're about to go on and remind ourselves of what happened this past week. Because it is pretty fucking depressing, if I'm going to be honest.
But don't worry, it's not all bad, because we'll be capping off the show with a look at Double or Nothing, and we'll maybe have some Super Bowl talk. So don't click away yet, just thinking it's going to be a sad fuckfest. Don't worry.
I'm sure Andy will say spaff or something along the way to keep everyone's spirits up.
I'm sure there'll be many awkward moments that you can laugh at and cringe at, whatever you normally do.
I can imagine that will happen. But we'll start off this week's episode by talking about Shad Gaspard. The body of the former WWE star Shad Gaspard was found on Venice Beach in Los Angeles after he went missing while swimming with his son. The 39-year-old got caught in a riptide with 10-year-old, I'm going to pronounce this completely wrong, his son on May 17th. His son was rescued, but lifeguards couldn't save Shad. Shad apparently drowned, but not before instructing the lifeguards to actually save his son first. TMZ were one of the first people to report on his death, as the Los Angeles County coroner confirmed that the body that they found was Shad, and the body was found at approximately 1:30 a.m. by a citizen who then called the police, and the LA Fire Department later held a press conference to announce that it was Shad Gaspard and matched his description, being 6'6", a black male, and also weighed over 240 pounds. It's
Uh,
that's bad.
what makes this even more tragic, just tragically ironic, is they only just opened the beach back up after lockdown. So you're like, yeah, I'll go have some fun with my family because we've been locked down for a few weeks, and that happens. Thanks, fucking universe. Well done. Cheers for that.
I think
It's an awful series of circumstances as well, because it's not something that was premeditated. It was honestly a freak accident of nature. He was caught in I think the term is like a riptide current.
Yeah, it's in a riptide current.
Yeah,
I'm not
something
a
similar
lifeguard,
to that.
but
We're not
yeah.
ocean experts, all right? But he was caught in a freak accident of nature, and it unfortunately came out in the negative way. He was reported missing at first, but then it was found, I think, 24 hours or around then
I
after
think
the circumstances.
Basically, what happened was they spent 3 or so hours looking for him. They couldn't find him, and then I think they gave up initially.
Can you imagine being his
the police
wife
were
and
still looking to
son
it?
just sat on the beach because they were there all night, just sat on the beach waiting? Like, Jesus Christ.
It is horrible. It is very depressing. And Voice Storm in the chat says, a crying shame, really. I watched The Undertaker give his thoughts. Apparently Shad was just an all-around kind human being. Sad to see bad things happen to good people. Definitely. Shad Gaspard, he was wrestling on the indies, I believe. He was also doing stunt work for motion pictures, most notably Birds of Prey, the Harley Quinn movie. Most recently, he was in that as a stunt guy. And he was also performing motion capture for video games, most notably Kratos in the new God of War on PS4. He did motion capture for that character. So he wasn't exactly a starving artist. He was definitely providing for his family. And as far as I'm aware, he and JCG were doing indie bookings as Crime Time as recently as last year, I do believe. So it is definitely a very sad thing. Obviously, I've said it before, I loved Crime Time when they were a thing in their first runs. Crying shame, but they never actually won a tag team championship.
Oh, they never actually got the belts.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
No, there was an angle they did with the tag team Deuce and Domino where they stole the tag belts, but they never actually won a match, unfortunately. So a couple of weeks they had the gold around their waist, but it was never official, like, sanctioned championship win. And of course they had that this brief partnership with John Cena, the CTC, Crime Time C Nation.
Oh yeah, that. For those that don't know, John Cena, under that moniker, actually donated 40 grand to the family.
Yes, it was anonymous. It was an anonymous thing. It was under that name, CTC. But it's pretty clear to see because John Cena also put on his Instagram afterwards a picture of the segment they had where they destroyed JBL's limousine and they graffitied all over it. Yeah, so it's pretty safe to assume that he's the one that donated to put Shad's GoFundMe memorial fundraiser over its goal. So definitely very very kind of John Cena to do. All around decent human being as well. We must never forget that.
I mean, I'm not a swimmer. I'm not that into sort of going to the beach and swimming in water and stuff. But you've got to hope that there is warnings and education on the beaches regarding this kind of thing. Because I'm one of these obsessive people that like Google shit all the time when things like this happen. And apparently in a riptide, instead of fighting against the current, because there's a thin strip that, like, waves come in and out, obviously, and then there's a thin strip that becomes a riptide that literally just takes you out. And apparently if you just wait and let it finish doing what it's doing, then you can swim back. Or alternatively, you swim sideways out of it, and then you're back in the normal water. I'd like to think that this is something people get taught, but I didn't have a clue what the fuck that was. If that was me, I'd have been gone as well. Like, what the fuck?
Exactly. It's not exactly something that's taught in like school systems or anything like that. But one thing I would always see said online is if you're ever stuck in like a riptide current, you would swim parallel to the shore so that you would be able to eventually reach shore and you wouldn't be dragged underneath. But of course, none of us are maritimers. We're not sailors. We don't necessarily have the education to know this. All we know is what is said on Reddit, which is home to many an expert, as we all know. But truth be told, it's just a very sad thing all around. I was very, very sad when I saw the news initially, and then it was confirmed that he passed. Awful, really. To think about his family, to think about JTG, just everyone involved. It was well documented that he was a good guy because he actually he foiled an armed robbery.
Oh yeah.
At some point in the past few years, footage.
Oh yeah,
him,
yeah. He was just like, yeah, fuck you, mate. You might have a gun, but go away.
Exactly, like a legit hero. His last efforts were to save his son. Like, you can't even like be anything but sad about this. It is generally quite depressing, but it's good that they were managed to get the funds for the GoFundMe in memorial, and a substantial amount of people turned up to his funeral as well. So he was well loved, well liked throughout his community. So all we can really say is that we give our thoughts to the family and friends and everything, and hope that time will heal this horrible wound.
Yeah, I mean, you know that it's a big deal because I think the majority of media outlets, including the BBC over here, even reported on it. It's incredibly sad. I think, was it Batista? I think it was Batista who said it best. The thing that hurts the most is that Shad was really only just coming into his prime in terms of his career and stuff. And like all the stuff that he was doing, like God of War and Birds of Prey and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, because Dave would know he's been through the cycle of I want to say Hollywood. Like, he's been through and done all of these things. It was clear that Shad was probably gonna maybe increase his stock a bit more, do a couple more movies, more video games. He would have had a very good career, a very long career of media work. And who's to say that they wouldn't have ever come back to WWE as a crime time unit? I've personally wanted that for years, but unfortunately now it's too little too late, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But we can look back on their moments when they were in the company and have a good laugh, because let's face it, they were fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, at first I think the vignettes were a bit, yeah.
They've aged poorly, shall we say.
Yeah.
But
They're not a modern. You couldn't do that now, and people look back at it and think, But by all accounts, they enjoy doing it. So...
Exactly. They enjoy doing it. They put their own take on things. And let's face it, without Crime Time, we probably wouldn't have Street Profits. We probably wouldn't have Private Party, Primetime Players, any sort of tag team with, let's face it, 2 African Americans. New Day might even have a bit of struggle.
And not only that, I mean, an African American WWE champion.
Exactly. So you could argue that Crime Time, whilst the gimmick, might have been controversial at the time, may even still be. You can argue that they laid the groundwork for future wrestlers. So you can't deny that at all.
Yeah. So I don't want to move on, but there's another piece of news that's incredibly even more depressing. Flipping hell, I hate doing this sometimes. Hana Kimura, a professional Japanese wrestler who also appeared in the latest series of Netflix's reality show Terrace House, has died, age 22. Stardom Wrestling, Kimura's wrestling organisation, actually confirmed the news and asked fans to be respectful. Shortly before she died, she issued a series of troubling social media posts implying that she had been cyberbullied. With her most recent update on her Instagram on Friday featured a photo of her with her cat with the caption that read, "Goodbye." A winner of Stardom's 2019 Fighting Spirit Award, Kimura was also one of the cast members of Japanese reality TV show Terrace House, before it was suspended due to the coronavirus. The show follows 3 men and 3 women as they temporarily live together in a house. Kimura is said to be the target of hundreds of mean tweets from fans and critics on a daily basis. And on news of her death, fans, industry figures spoke out against cyberbullying and its impact on mental health.
Yeah.
It's definitely terrible. Let's not dance around this. Have any of us actually seen any of her matches, any of her work before?
I can't say I have, but to me it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. I just don't want it to seem like we were fans all along. I just want to make it clear that
right, yeah.
even though we haven't necessarily been fans of this woman, we can still appreciate the tragedy
I mean,
of this situation.
I've heard the name, and I get that she was probably going places, but I've never sat down and watched a match.
From what I've heard, from what I could tell based on my own research, she was actually one of the first women to perform at a Wrestle Kingdom show, which is New Japan's equivalent of WrestleMania, because New Japan as a company doesn't have women's wrestling. The way it works in that part of the world is that you have separate companies for each gender, which, to each their own, whatever works best. But as a representative, I believe, of Stardom, which is the biggest women's company that side of the globe, they had a match at Wrestle Kingdom, I believe, on the pre-show, the equivalent of, and she was involved in that match. So,
did she not also appear in a random AEW mishmash of a match once?
I'm almost positive that she did.
One of like the Battle Royals or something.
I think at Double or Nothing they had a tribute package, kind of, at least a what do they call it, an in memoriam screen.
Yeah, it was very kind of makeshift and stuff like that. But she did appear in AEW for a bit.
She did. She had a couple of bookings there. The way that I've heard her described is that she was essentially going to be one of the biggest stars in that side of the wrestling world, comparable to like Asuka or Kairi Sane or Io Shirai, because they all I don't know about Asuka, but at least Kairi and Io, they had their star-making performances in Stardom as a company. It's also where a lot of gaijin go, like Tony Storm, Bea Priestley, various wrestlers that have,
she definitely had the look. Like that was a breakout look. If you're a WWE or an AEW and you want a talent from that side of the world, then you would definitely give her a look.
Absolutely, like brilliant costume with the gas mask and everything, colorful appearance, like beautiful woman. Like it really is. It's so horrible, especially because the way that this panned out is essentially a situation happened on this television show, Terrace House, which I've seen episodes of. As reality shows go, I thought it was kind of tame, kind of boring, but maybe that's just how...
Was it like Big Brother? Something like that?
It is essentially their version of Big Brother, but wherein it is, it's a rotating cast. You have 3 ladies and 3 men. They all live in the same house, and basically they commute out, they do their jobs and everything. They just coexist in this house, and you see how they react with each other, potential romance storylines. But like I say, I tried watching the first couple episodes on Netflix, and I wasn't hooked at all. It was very boring, and having seen the reality shows that come from that part of the world, I don't think that's typical. But personal opinions aside of the programming, she was involved in I want to say an altercation with a male housemate, let's call it, based around a situation involving her wrestling gear that she was going to wear for that Wrestle Kingdom this past year. But I think it was left in the washing machine, and then it got shrunk when the male housemate decided to wash it, and so she got understandably mad and like started she smacked him, I think, or something like that. Not like properly, but like
which seems innocuous and may have even staged, but the aftermath of that is probably where things went south.
Yeah, the fans of that show, for whatever reason, they had allegiance to the male housemate that caused the situation, and so she faced numerous amounts of hate speech online, various death threats. It's not really something that we can see, bearing in mind it's the other side of the world. There's that language barrier, but there's also that media barrier. Like I say, we're not familiar with her career as is anyway, so it wasn't exactly something on the radar. So that somehow makes it worse in a way, because you hear about this promising talent, and then all of a sudden she's gone. It really is worse than Shad, I would say. Not that one death can be worse than another. I'm saying the situation around it. This is definitely.
You've got to hate the timing of it as well, in the fact that I'm assuming that she was probably not, like, she must have been in some form of lockdown or something.
I believe she
Or
was.
am I-
Like, she was
Exactly, so if
So,
you've had an issue and then you've got to go home to a lonely apartment and you just sat there reading tweets telling you to whatever, that's just going to make the whole situation worse because you're isolated to begin with.
yeah, exactly. And
Terrible timing.
it really is. But in a bit of a follow-up to this, apparently Japan, the country, is introducing some cyberbullying laws in the wake of all of this to try and contain all of the hatred that people get sometimes. I don't quite know how they're going to manage that, because the internet is how it is, but needless to say that this has impacted the government side of things.
So like the wider political sort of.
Yeah, political spectrum has definitely made a mark on that. So it's nothing to scoff at, but it's awful that really it took this situation to get us to that point.
It's like it's like a lot of things though. Like it takes something truly horrendous for anyone to pay any attention, and so that society will actually be like, "Oh God, this is bad, isn't it?"
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not one for like social media control and algorithms deciding things and stuff, but you got to think there's some way that you can monitor social media for people that are posting messages like, "Oh, goodbye," and stuff like that, where you can perhaps just check up on them and see what's going on. Like, for that to be public and no one like touch base with her and say, "Are you doing okay?" There must be algorithms that can. If there's algorithms that can ban my random videos for saying some random word, then there's got to be algorithms to sort of nail down whether someone's super depressed or something.
But the thing is, if people did reach out, it might have just been a case of you just didn't answer.
I mean,
yeah.
With the way social media is, it's a Wild West environment. The negative will always rise more than the positive, unfortunately. That's just the way that the algorithms are structured. More negative opinions will get more interactions, and then they get brought to the spotlight even further. So it's not a
apparently there is a sort of another angle to this that I won't go too deeply into, because obviously I'm not from that side of the world or whatever, but she wasn't actually fully ethnically Japanese.
Yeah, she was actually half Japanese, according to her Wikipedia page, from what I'm seeing.
And there's a lot of racism to do with that. Like, they're seen as slightly second-class citizens if you're not full-class Japanese. And she'd been dealing with that, obviously, her whole life. And a lot of these hateful messages were making reference to that. So, some of that probably played into it as well.
Definitely. It fucking sucks. It's really sad. Like, I'm gonna obviously see if I can check out some of her performances, some of her matches in wake of this, but I just wish that I was sort of a fan before this. I wish it didn't take this to sort of enlighten me to her work. But I probably would have been eventually anyway, because as we say, everyone sort of viewed her as being like the next breakout like star in that part of the world, but it's terrible. It really is. And I'm of opinion that a lot of social media is terrible. A lot of it was a mistake, so this can definitely be seen as an example of that. But what we need to do really is it's like what Excalibur said during AEW when they had their in memoriam graphic. It's just try and just be a bit nicer, and it's very hard for a lot of people to do that, but just be mindful of what. I mean,
no matter who you're talking to on the other end, it's still a human being, unless
exactly.
It's a Russian bot. But like, but there are like, even if you're talking to the biggest prick in the world, there's probably a reason why they're a prick, because they hate themselves already. So
Yeah.
like, just remember, like, just rise above stuff. Don't make stuff personal.
Yeah.
Don't just attack people because you don't like them on a TV show or something. Just, be better.
Because like I remember I put a tweet out a couple of weeks ago, and fucking some of the replies were so horrendous. They were, like, one person called me.
Yeah, someone called you a cockwomble, didn't they?
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Like, it got to the point where I had to take it down, and I was like, I'm just never gonna fucking. If I tweet anything out that's remotely political, I just will not use a hashtag, because I just do not want twats. Because I felt like complete shit after that. I was like, oh, I must be a giant cockwomble then. Even though I had like people who were doing like PhDs and stuff, like retweeting it. No, just one guy called Danger Mouse. I used to like that show. He's like, you're a giant cockwomble. I was like, oh, thanks. And it just takes one person. It doesn't necessarily take a fucking barrage of people, a fucking horde of shit coming your way to make you feel like complete crap. It can literally just be one person.
And let's be clear, right? Let's just be clear for a sec. Whilst we don't have enough fans, frankly, to go and dig up dirt on us or reference past things, the stuff that we say on this show is never meant like too seriously. You can tell, like, we don't know fuck all about anything. Like, we fuck around on the live show for an hour, like, whenever we want to. It's not. We've said shit. We've all said shit about performers. You've said some weird things about performers and everything, but like, we don't ever actually mean it with a personal intention. We just say it because, it's something that we like to do. It's not good sometimes. Sometimes it can be pretty bad, but let's just face it. Sometimes we're all a bit shit in that regard. We just need to think about how we can be a bit better sometimes. That goes for everybody.
And on that note, we'll move on. So, did anyone catch the Owen Hart Dark Side of the Ring episode this past week?
I did.
Clips. I have seen various news articles. I've seen interview quotes about it. I've seen just stuff on Reddit, basically.
Well, basically, the season 2 finale featuring Owen Hart drew 349,000 viewers. This is 32% up from the previous week's episode, which was about the Road Warriors.
And this is on Vice, so for Vice to do those numbers is pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
How is this program being streamed? Is it on YouTube or is it on like their website? How do you watch it?
There is I'm not sure about this country, maybe there is, but there is an actual digital channel like that you can go watch on TV.
Yeah.
In this country, I think it's delayed, but we also have it somewhere on like Sky Channel 10,003.1 or something.
It's on All 4, which is the Channel 4 doodah thingy-bob, what you may call it, on-demand service.
Video on demand. Yeah. Wow. It's really on that one, huh?
Yes.
Interesting.
Don't ask how I found it. So basically, the point is that it was incredibly revealing. I'll give you my takes on it, and I don't.
Yeah,
know
let's just give all our takes on it. Should I go first? Because I haven't actually seen it. Maybe you can chip in with what I want to say.
Yes, go ahead.
Basically, everything that I've heard about Owen Hart, because all of this was before I even knew what wrestling really was, and I've never actually had the motivation to go back and look at stuff regarding this. But obviously, I know the bare bones situation. He was killed in a horrific stunt gone wrong situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I just took that as credit, and I thought it was a horrible accident. Martha, his widow, is obviously very protective about his image, understandably. People blame WWE for the accident. I'm sure they do. But I never actually went properly into the details about it. And now that I've seen, read about, heard about all of these new things that were brought to light, it just makes me think, why didn't I go and look at it sooner? All of this is horrible, horrible stuff.
It makes you think why someone didn't actually get fucking arrested.
Right,
But
why was nothing done about all of this? It seems fucking terrible. To think if it were done today,
Oh,
what would happen now?
it's the old thing. I say this all the time. Society as a whole thinks wrestling is a joke. They have no respect for anyone that does it. So when anything bad happens, it gets brushed under the rug because wider society doesn't give a fuck. And it's really sad when that happens because they're real people. They entertain millions and millions of people.
Yeah, and not only that, it's worse than that because in '99, the business just got more popular after that. Like, society was just like, oh, that was a thing that happened. Oh, The Rock and Stone Cold. Oh my god. When if this happened in the modern day, I guarantee you, WWE would be finished. That would be it.
Yeah, definitely.
But because it was in a time period where it's popular, nobody gave a wank. They did not care, and that is weird to me. Because, like, technically, the first take I have from it was when the incident happened, that was a crime scene.
Yeah, that hit me as well. I never thought about that, but yeah, someone just died, and you're just gonna keep slamming people on the ring where he died, and like roll around in his blood, and
yeah, there was blood. There was a bump like in the ring where his body landed. Jesus Christ!
Imagine being a wrestler that puts your life on the line to take bumps every night. One of your best friends has just died, and you're taking a body slam in the dip where he just died, and you're expected to do that safely and like in your right mind. Like, what the actual fuck?
Because you can.
And people will go to the defense of, oh, no one was thinking straight at the time. They had to go on. It's like, no, you didn't. Vince McMahon, as much as people say all good things about him, he is probably one of the worst people, like on planet Earth, to run a business of this nature. And I know we just said, oh, we should be nicer to people and everything. This guy put on a show where a man died in the middle of the ring, and he decided to finish the show.
Most likely, so people didn't ask for refunds. That was probably the prime thinking.
But the thing is, what astounds me is the police didn't, come in and shut it down. Like you think
they would, but no. Vince has money, doesn't he?
But it goes back to this thing. Wrestling is this weird subculture that, as much as everyone has to go, oh, it's fake, we know it's stupid, but the majority of people that don't watch it don't actually understand it, so they brush it under the carpet because they don't get it. Police should have been swarming the place and closing it down, but they probably thought it was part of the story. Like, there's actually, if you listen to Martha Hart on, it was either Jericho's or Meltzer's podcast, this thing happened, right, where WWE hires real medical staff, but for the angles. So they have some real medical staff ready to treat people, and some real medical staff just to film. And there was a bunch of medical staff there that were there to film an angle later on in the night, and they were the ones that were treating Owen, and they didn't know whether this was part of the angle or not. So they took him backstage, and the ambulance that was there was a prop ambulance for the angle for something else. And they still didn't know what was what. And basically it took The Rock backstage to be like, you need to get him to an ambulance. He was ready to literally get in the fake one and drive him there himself.
Jesus Christ.
So there's a lot of things in the chat. Let's just give it a little read here. Voidstorm says, my older friend is in his 40s. When he was a kid, he and his friends would all chip in to watch pay-per-views on the weekends. He watched it happen live, and wrestling was understandably never the same for him. I would have been scarred too. A correction, he's in his late 30s. So you have to think, like, watching that live, how must it... I can't think of anything, like, worse than that.
I didn't watch it live because I didn't have the whatever it was on, but I had friends that watched it live, and the next morning everyone was talking about it like, oh, Owen Hart died. Owen Hart died. We must have been like 9 years old or something. So we didn't really understand that he really died. And for the longest time, there was this stupid rumor that one of my friends made that, oh yeah, the Undertaker cut the strings or something.
Oh my
Like, oh,
god.
for
Good
fuck's sake.
Lord.
But then it came out in the Sun newspaper, and I remember one kid like running up and down the street showing everyone that he actually fucking died. And then it's like, oh, my childhood is now over.
Right. It ruined a childhood, basically.
Because
It really pulled back the red curtain just a little
Yeah.
bit on how fucking fucked up the sport is. More in the chat. Antonio says, the mainstream considers pro wrestling a joke. Phil Munchnick? I think that's how you say it. Phil Munchnick from the New York Post and TV Guide hates wrestling and used Brian Pillman's death as a justification for abolishing wrestling.
why that? Why?
Why? Why indeed?
There were many different things you could use to abolish wrestling.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I know the first thing about what happened with Brian Pillman, but I'm sure both of you have some sort of knowledge of that situation. But really, there's a lot of things that you could use as a reason to abolish the state of wrestling. It's not even the state of wrestling. It's WWE. It's just one company.
And that's
Well, even after, when was it? Was it the big steroid trial that was a bit after Benoit's death? The signature pharmacy thing,
Yeah.
where they
Yes,
they actually got investigated by the whatever Senate of whatever, and they still got away with it. Like Vince, literally, look through the whole of Vince's history. He just writes a giant fucking check. Even during the pandemic, he just writes a check. Now we're essential workers. Like Vince is so powerful, yet he's still it's weird. Wrestling's just this weird thing in the corner. I don't get it.
It's so like fucked up and weird, and it's full of lies, and none of it makes any sense. Like, what the fuck? And then Carmine's in the chat actually. He says, do you think he kept the show running purely because if they ended it, it would give more time to let people think about what he caused? Like, he kept it running to distract people from the fact that he might have played a hand in his death.
I legit think it was just that if they ended it early, then they would have to have honored refunds of tickets and repaid pay-per-view providers. So they just...
man fucking died! Who cares?
They were like $1 billion company at this point. Are you telling me they couldn't afford just to refund people? Are you taking them?
But it's a cult. It's a cult. Vince McMahon runs a cult, and all the wrestlers, or most of them, believe in his vision. Like, we'll probably get to it, or we'll just get to it now. The Mark Henry thing, when he was crying at the Hall of Fame, pleading with Martha to let him in the Hall of Fame. Mark Henry is bought into WWE's narrative.
He really has.
That's how they think. They think WWE is God, and like you should do everything Vince says.
It's the gospel way to do things.
And here's my take on everything, right? I have to preface this by saying, like Sam, I got into wrestling earlier than Sam, but after the incident. So I got into it in like 2000. So I actually had no idea who Owen Hart actually was when I got into wrestling. I had no idea who he was. The only way I found out about him was later on in life, where somebody said, oh yeah, he fell from the ceiling. I was like, what are you talking about? What in it? Was it real? Was it an angle? What are you talking about? Like, they literally fell from the fucking ceiling to the ring and died. And I'm like, what are you on about?
And saying that is kind of underselling it, because as I've learned, like, we've all heard over the years, he fell from the rafters and landed in the ring. He fell from the rafters, landed on the top turnbuckle, bounced, and then hit the ring.
And the referee said he felt him brush past him as it happened.
And apparently,
one of the last
he was
things,
screaming.
One of the last things, yeah, he was screaming.
Yeah.
Yes, he was telling the referee to get out of the way in case he got hurt too. It's so fucked up. No one talks about the level of detail. No one can bring themselves to.
And
I mean, think about how other deaths on television, like real deaths, have worked out. One thing that comes to my mind always is this news anchor, this female news anchor. I think her name was Christine Chubbuck or something like that, where she committed suicide on the news. Like she pulled
I
out.
thought you meant the one that got shot, which I did loads of videos on. But carry on.
No, this was way before that. This was like in the 90s, I think. But she was a news reporter, like at a desk, an anchor lady. She pulls out a hand, blows her brains out,
Oh Jesus!
and dies on television. With that, no footage of it exists because they seized the tape, and either the family has it or it got destroyed. Either way, you can't see it. However, with Over the Edge, whatever the pay-per-view was called, that's still streamable on the network, isn't it?
Yeah, but they took it out. Like
Did they actually not take the whole event off the network?
No,
they
basically
should take it off. Even if that bit was edited out, even if Owen's whole thing was edited out, you can't edit out the evidence that was left in the wake of that incident. You can't.
Oh, you mean like for Jeff Jarrett crying?
You can't edit that out. You can't.
Oh no, they did. They edited out the Jeff Jarrett promo, but what they haven't edited out is there's a clip of the Undertaker stood in the ring, and you can see him look down, and he immediately starts crying, or he was crying before, and he just looks down and starts crying. It's like
thing, but you can still
take it
just
off the network. Take it off.
You should be able to just not have any eyes on it at all.
No.
Let alone, even if there's footage of him falling, even if it does exist, that shouldn't be a thing. The whole event shouldn't be watchable. Get rid of it.
Well, there's also that element that, like, first off, you're criminally negligent that it happened in the first place. But to send people out there to perform, can you imagine what mindset they're in? They could have just dropped on their own heads because they're just not thinking straight.
And the thing is as well, like, one of the first things that people looked up when WWE Network launched was Over the Edge, because people were like, "Oh, maybe it's on there," and like, no, of course it's not. But like, my point, I'm gonna go back to it, was because I didn't know much about Owen Hart. I was of the opinion, oh, maybe they should put him in the Hall of Fame because there's a whole generation of people now that don't know who Owen is, and they won't know his body of work. They won't know everything that he did for the business. Until, you know, I mean, this is like my younger self, arguably the self that started this thing with Liam, had long hair and braces and looked like a complete twat, would say that, right?
The self-deprecating.
I know, right? Yes. But you know, the going bald and nearly 30-year-old Andy sat here right now is saying,
and you're still a twat as well. So
I should have probably said I'm not a twat.
With
fuck's sake.
At least you're consistent.
Basically, and especially after watching that documentary, it's reinforced my viewpoint. Owen Hart should never, ever, 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 ever go in the Hall of Fame for WWE.
Agreed. The Hall of Fame is bullshit.
But it's not just for that. It's, regardless if you believe that WWE killed him or whatever the case may well be, he still died on their watch. And I can completely...
continued the show afterwards.
And I can see Martha's viewpoint. Why in the hell should they glorify this guy that I think at her viewpoint they did kill? She doesn't have a husband because of these guys. Why the hell should he go into their Hall of Fame?
Well, here's the thing.
That's and I completely get it. Like, it's not
all the people that remember Owen Hart when they were kids know who he is. They know everything about him. Mm-hmm. At least now they know the situation. He doesn't need to be honoured in the Hall of Fame. We already know how great he was. And he's in Hall of Fames. He's in the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. Yeah, he's in the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame. He's just not in the Hall of Fame with Coco Beware and all the other bombs.
And Donald Trump, right? Fucking think about what the WWE Hall of Fame actually is. What it is Vince McMahon looking at certain people and thinking, you deserve recognition within this company mentally. There's no physical place where you can go to honor these people that are inducted into this make-believe, weird ring cult ceremony.
Yeah.
Like,
It's the Vince McMahon Hall of Fame.
It's the Vince McMahon approved Hall of Fame. I deem thee worthy of being recognized as a legend.
It's Razor Ramon and Jeff Jarrett without mentioning that he was actually better in WCW, and like it's everything about it is just annoying.
Some people are in it twice. Think about that. What does that mean? What does it mean to have 2 Hall of Fame rings? You are one person.
But here's the other thing.
What the fuck are you doing?
Here's the other thing, right? In regards to the documentary, I guarantee you, right? After that documentary aired, everyone who watched that documentary probably went back and watched an Owen match or searched for Owen on the network. And in my viewpoint, and it's kind of I'm sort of conflicted because on the one hand they're technically profiteering off of Owen, but whatever.
Well, I don't think it's that bad. I think they're promoting that what happened. They're not brushing it under the rug like what WWE do. They're actually bringing it to the forefront so that people can educate themselves, like us, and learn about how fucked up this whole situation is.
No, I mean the fact that Owen's on the WWE network, that technically then you pay $9.99, and technically the point is,
and you can watch the event where he died still.
But you can still go back and look at all the other matches that he had. And I think that, for me, is far, 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 far more of a legacy, of something meaningful than a stupid ring. Like,
Someone made the point, like, on the documentary. I think it must have been Chris Jericho. Imagine if Owen Hart stayed along for a few more years and he had all the matches with Eddie Guerrero and Benoit and all those people that came in afterwards. How amazing that would have been.
But Owen didn't want to be in the business for much longer. So
he wanted to be a firefighter, didn't he?
Yeah, he wanted to bugger off and do something. No, actually, he basically was saying, well, I just want to make my money and just go be a dad and just go piss off and never think about this ever again. And that's the even more sad thing about it. Was the other take I have is the actual home video footage of him actually saying that, because that was always a rumor or people within the industry saying.
There is a second documentary that I don't know why no one really knows about it, but you remember Wrestling with Shadows?
I have that on DVD.
The guy that made that, Paul J, also made a separate Owen Hart documentary to go out on the 10-year anniversary of that documentary, and it's pretty much along the same vein as Vice's documentary, because I had like this weird signed copy of both of them at some point. I sold them on eBay because I lost money and I'm a poor bastard, but but that's actually a really good documentary too, and that goes into how like at the time he was actually planning to wind down his career.
Jesus. And that's my final take from it is the guy didn't want to be in the industry. He always looked for ways to get the hell out of it. And last take. The Hart family. What the fuck is wrong with these people? Like, literally, when Martha was suing the WWE, apparently the Hart family, various members.
Some of them, yeah.
Okay, various members didn't want anything to do with her. But you would think this giant idiot, this moron, right, is like, hey, I've screwed over your sibling to the point where he's now out of the company and it was horrible. To the point where there was like a mass exodus of Hearts except for Owen, and even British Bulldog left, I think. And now this. Why the hell are you standing up for this guy.
It's
and I get well,
it's,
you know,
it's the cult of it's the cult
it's
of
for cult,
wrestling.
it's for money, it's everything, it's brainwashing, it's fucking
Plus,
weird.
there is one aspect of it that at the time that was kind of where you could go, and some of those guys had careers, and it's all sad, but it's all grey areas really. Like
It's all grey, it's all fucked up, and yet we're the ones who still watch this company today. We still
I
keep
don't.
tabs
I
on it,
stopped.
still support it.
I've actively stopped watching.
Oh,
I've
good.
based
That's good for you.
I
How do
only
you do
really
it? Get me
watch
out.
modern AEW now, but I still watch the old shit on the network.
Like, we all have the network.
Yeah, I mean, I watch the old shit on the network, but
Right.
I don't actively.
We're stuck in it.
There is one more thing though that could have made this tragedy twice as fucking terrible. So around that time, WWE's answer to Nitro's luchadors, every so often they would bring in the mini Mexican wrestlers.
Oh yeah, they had a
and
deal
then-
with like AAA, didn't they?
Yeah, one of them that was actually really popular and would have been on our watch along, or will be when we actually go do it. But a guy called Max Mini. He was basically Rey Mysterio but smaller. And he was at the Royal Rumble. He made a few appearances, and the original plan was for Max Mini to hold on to Owen as he was descending down the bloody thing.
God.
So
that would not have ended well.
So you could have had two deaths, or a death and you've landed on top of a dead person because you're on his back. Like, all sorts of terrible things could have happened. Like, don't do stupid stunts without having actual proper Hollywood stunt performers. And if they say it's not safe, listen to them because they're the experts. You're just a fucking wrestling company. You don't know.
Or better still, just don't do them to begin with. Like, what did that blue blazer thing add to the show, really, in the grand scheme of things? Like,
It would have been a cheap laugh. That's all it
care?
would have been.
That's all it would have been.
That's what makes me laugh when, like, you get the sort of mainstream news reports or the odd article and coverage where they don't know much about wrestling, and they're like, Owen Hart, who wrestled as the Blue Blazer. No, it was like a month and it was a joke, and he was going to go back to being Owen Hart, like, after the gimmick ended. But
More research.
It's just, yeah, like, and it doesn't even make sense either, because the whole idea was he was a klutz and he was being stupid and everyone knew it was Owen Hart, and like he would land in the middle of the ring, get stuck and wouldn't be able to get out, and then everyone would start beating on him because he's an idiot. So why is there even a quick release? Use the safe one and let him get stuck and let people laugh at that.
Hindsight. Hindsight is a wonderful thing in regards to this kind of thing, but really, we've all learned stuff about Owen Hart, and really it should be said that this company is fucking horrible, and yet it's still going. It will always go until the end of time. We're just along for the ride.
It only gets better when people call it out and Vince feels threatened. He never does it off his own back. He just feels like he's backed into a corner. Then, okay, someone murdered the whole goddamn family. Oh, we'll actually have a wellness policy that works now. Like, no, you should have been doing like 10 years ago, you fucking dork.
Yeah.
Well,
but anyway, should we round off the show with some happier news?
Yes. So AEW Double or Nothing was on this past Saturday evening or morning.
Sell me on it. Tell me about it. Get me involved.
I'm going to quickly go through it because we are running out of time. But technically in the pre-show match, best friends of Truck Taylor. Chuck Taylor and Trent defeated Private Party. Oh yes, it's a private party, but you are not invited because you need to stay the fuck away from my house. Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn in a tag team match. I'm going to keep making that joke until the lockdown's over, I'm telling you. Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn. I can't do this with you laughing. God, stop.
It's funny. You made a good joke for the first time in like 10 years. How can I not?
I did this one last week, and
I forgot.
I'm just going to keep doing it every week. So it was a tag team match to do determine the number one contenders for the tag team titles. So best friends are the number one contenders.
Who are they
Yeah.
held by? Who are they fighting in future?
Oh, it's Kenny Omega and Adam Page,
Really?
apparently.
I hate how you say Kenny Omega.
Why? Kenny
It's
Omega.
it's Omega.
Kenny Omega.
Omega.
Kenny Omega.
He's not Omega Man.
I mean, that's the point. That's like his whole thing.
Well, speaking of names that I can actually pronounce, Brian Cage with Taz made his debut in the Casino Ladder match, defeating a whole bunch of
That
people.
came out of the blue. I mean, I don't dislike it,
Came out of the roids.
but yeah, he was very Roydy McGee.
Now I saw like numerous clips and gifs and everything on Reddit of this show. This particular bit where Brian Cage and Luchasaurus were having a what I call fighting underwater standoff.
Yeah.
They move so fucking slow. I thought my
okay,
internet was
okay.
playing up. I thought the GIF was at slower speed.
I am no longer a fan of Luchasaurus.
What?
Like,
Why?
are they always that slow?
I think he's,
Are they always performing that slow? Like
I
molasses?
think he's injured. I think he's injured,
Yeah,
or
like-
he was just never good.
I think he's good, but it's what you have a giant man, right? A giant man with muscles
Picture
upon
this.
muscles against a man who's very tall, very bulky, dressed up like a dinosaur. What the fuck are you expecting?
I don't know.
No,
full
but he does that.
speed.
He does that with everyone. Luchasaurus is just like really slow.
I mean, yes, he's
So
a dinosaur.
I would rather he just acts like Kane or something.
We're not being racist here. Dinosaurs are slow by nature. We know this.
Oh
But
yes, sorry, yes, we have to preface that.
biologically, should he really be wrestling humans if he can't even move at the proper speed? Like that spot that he does where he like kicks a punch coming in to stop it. My God, that looks horrible. Or at least it looked horrible with Brian Cage.
It probably just looked horrible with Brian Cage because Brian Cage is like the largest small person in history.
He ate Ryback.
But Brian Cage is actually pretty damn good. But
Yeah, he's really good, but like,
Not with Luchasaurus, he's not.
no, gotta put him in there with Tiny Magoo and then like Marco Stunt. That's his name. I mean,
I just think Luchasaurus needs to make up his mind whether he's a big man or he's
Lucha.
Aleister Black. But he's not Aleister Black, so just be a big scary man instead.
What are you talking about? He's a dinosaur. He's a dinosaur. He's a dinosaur.
I like the character. But moving on. Speaking of people I like, MJF with Wardlow defeated Jungle
Who is
Boy.
Wardlow?
Wardlow.
What is a Wardlow?
Wardlow is MJF's bodyguard.
Why does he need a
He's
bodyguard?
MJF's Diesel to HBK.
Oh right, the Tyson Tomko of the picture, yeah. The Bam Neely, yeah.
But more talented, way more talented. Cody with Arn Anderson defeated Lance Archer with Jake Roberts for the AEW TNT Championship that is not finished.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's
this
been
is
it's been over
lower.
20 years, and Mike Tyson still couldn't look any more awkward in a wrestling angle.
He's fucking insane, he's crazy. I will give props. That gif of him reacting to Lance Archer murking that dude was fucking hilarious.
That was amazing. But then like I think
Why didn't Lance Archer win? I'm a big fan of Mohawk Murder Guy. Like, why did he not win?
because Cody
'Cause-
needs to win.
Because
Does he?
Cody needs a
Yeah.
belt because he's not allowed the other belt.
Yeah, and he's actually lost I think every pay-per-view they've ever done. Besides from
the fucking
the
Murder
Dustin
Hawk.
Rhodes one.
But Murder Hawk.
Yeah, he'll make a comeback. Don't worry about it.
Don't call it a comeback. Everybody dies.
I'm glad they had like more wrestlers in the audience and it was more lively because it actually worked. I at times I felt like it was just a show with fans there.
Yeah, I didn't even realize. And the other thing, I was, I know it's Mike Tyson, but could you not show him yawning, please? For
Did he
fuck's
actually
sake.
do that?
Yeah, they accidentally cut to him
Oh.
yawning, and it's like, oh my lord,
Oh my god.
Mike. I mean, I was hoping
You
Mike
have
would punch
one
someone
job.
out.
You have one job when you come out here, you fucking sports entertainer, is to look entertained.
Do you want
You've
to say that?
acted in movies before,
Mike, don't hurt me.
Michael.
Sam saying this, mate. It's not me.
I mean, he's not going to find us. No one listens to us anyway. Why is he listening?
It's Mike Tyson. But
He knows. He has an ethereal power to know when people are shit-talking him.
You know why he yawned though, right? He owns a cannabis company, so he's just high as fuck.
That does make sense. That's probably why he was like looking on, going, "What the fuck? That unicorn just took out that fucking giant fucking donkey person."
It's like, this isn't WWE. Where's Cold Stone?
And, yeah, he's probably just like, "Oh, I'm sat on a cloud, and this giant red fucking I don't know hobgoblin just powerbombed. I don't know. Fuck it."
Do you think that when Tony Khan went up to him, he was like, "Oh, hey Vince, how you doing?
It's like,
You want me back in the wrestling ring? All right, I'll do that for you."
are you talking about Tony Khan talking there or Mike Tyson talking there? 'Cause
Mike Tyson
it's interchangeable.
Mike Tyson talking. He talks like an idiot.
Yeah, I mean, don't say it to
Okay,
his face.
what happens in no cyberbullying? He's
Yeah,
just
what
got a
happened?
lisp, fam. He's just got a lisp, okay?
It's Mike Tyson.
But anyway, the belt is not finished.
Bad.
Yeah, as it stands, it's not good.
It looks like
But
a 24/7 title, but somehow.
Okay.
I would have preferred it if it wasn't in bright fucking red.
So,
It would have been fine.
is this actually, like, because they won it in a tournament, is this actually now their, like, mid-card title?
Yeah, this is their mid-card title.
Bright red because it's TNT.
At least it makes sense. It's not like the like, two-continent European Brexit belt or something.
Yeah. What?
I love
I'm glad that there's a mid card belt now. The match was good. He's fucking Tyson. I mean, he really cares in the grand scheme of things. I mean, it was nice to have Mike Tyson there.
Celebrity appearance, as is the standard with wrestling. It has always happened. It will always happen in future.
And
Celebrities everywhere.
I wish you'd punch Jake Roberts or something.
Yeah,
What?
that was my biggest regret.
Not
was
like
Mike-
legit punch. But
Why would you wish that on Jake Roberts? What did he
He's
do?
like, he's just a scummy guy, and that would have fitted the role. But
Yeah, that instead, Mike just kind of takes his top off, and Jake just fucks off, and it's just like, run away.
Wow. Does he have a big dumb tattoo on his left pec?
probably.
I think that
Like the side of his face.
he's got like a tattoo of Che Guevara for some reason.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
He's a nutcase.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you get punched in the face for a living. So, moving on. Chris Statlander defeated Penelope Ford.
Yes. My girl.
Oh, I love both of those ladies very much.
Okay, Keelan, calm down.
Hey, come on, you Andrew Kwan, connoisseur of women's
pretend
wrestling,
You don't have hormones.
right? No, I have a fiance. I'm not allowed
Yeah,
to
I
have
have-
hormones anymore.
My hormones got switched off in 1993.
What, for 2
Come on,
years?
Andy. What, you don't like the look of these women? Or how talented they are, sorry.
They're not my cup of tea.
What do you mean? She's an alien. It's amazing.
What is your point?
She's
She's
great.
gonna probe you and everything. It'd be great.
Wow.
You're into that?
Keelan, whatever you like. I'm not judging. It's 2020, mate.
What are you
do
doing?
want.
Shaming? We need to be nicer to each other, Andrew.
Oh, right, yeah, sorry.
Dickhead.
We're not doing well here. So that was a match. It was a good match. It just...
Well, it wasn't supposed to be that match, so it was on the fly anyway.
Yeah, so...
What do you mean? What do you mean?
It's supposed to be Britt Baker in the match instead.
Oh, is that Adam Cole's girlfriend?
Yes.
The dentist?
Yes.
Oh.
Okay, can someone explain? Right, so she cut that heel promo on Tony Schiavone,
Yes.
which everyone shat on, which I thought was hilarious and good. So I'm in different minds to the people anyway. But when did she become his friend? Because now every segment they're like friends.
Well, they're not really friends. It's just her being a condescending bitch, basically. That's. But Tony's just like too much of a pussy to be like, leave me alone. I used to work at Starbucks, but fuck off. He's too much of a wimp to be like, leave me alone. Like that's basically the storyline.
But yeah, I think she's a good heel. She's a better heel than she is in the ring.
Oh Christ, she's a better face. She's a horrible face, better heel. Like, I'm a dentist. Did you know I'm a dentist? I'm a dentist. I don't care. Oh, boo, you're a dentist. See? It works.
But no one likes dentists.
Exactly. Why the fuck? Why was that always going to be a face thing? It wasn't going to be a face thing.
Do you like the dentist?
Not really, no. Then again,
exactly, you're going to boo them.
I was supposed to have an appointment before COVID happened. I need to bring them up. Anyway, moving forward. Dustin
Wait, you
Rhodes.
need to bring up Britt Baker.
Not with Britt
To bring
Baker.
her up to you.
Can you imagine
Not
all the
Britt Baker,
fucking
no.
idiots that try and sign on to her surgery just because they're
Oh.
wrestling fans?
A real surgery.
Could you imagine?
When will Britt see me?
She signed my 2x4.
Can she touch my teeth? So
Fucking hell, Andy. If you're into that, alright. Jesus.
moving forward, Dustin Rhodes with Brandy Rhodes defeated Shawn Spears. This was Dustin's return after being destroyed by
Dustin
Murder
Rhodes
Hawk.
with Brandy Rhodes.
I don't like Brandy Rhodes with anyone other than Cody Rhodes.
Yeah,
Why
she's in a
why-
team with
why-
QT Marshall and
And why do we have to watch QT fucking I look like I work in an office guy go away?
Is it weird to me and me only that he comes out with his brother's wife?
I want to preface this. I like AEW.
So do I, but there are a couple of elements that are just annoying.
Is that not an odd thing? Am I crazy here?
I guess they're all one big family and
Yes,
help each
but
other.
it's weird.
Yeah, but they're a
like-
family. It's fine. It's wrestling.
Family,
Just-
it's a cult. It's a
Just get rid of QT Marshall and Brandon Cutler and everything will be fine.
Discussing him, chat thinks is weird too. Thank you. I'm glad I'm not alone in that.
Well, that was a bit of a squash match because Shawn Spears was like, "Ha, Dustin isn't here. I'm wearing a suit. Oh shit, Dustin's here, losers." So there you go.
That's what they're doing with him.
Yep.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah, I know, right?
This is
That whole Shawn Spears and Tully Blanchard thing never really.
Wasn't he being managed by a horseman?
Yeah,
It
but
didn't
it just didn't go anywhere. Yeah,
I mean,
like,
it's
COVID
probably
happened.
It's probably isolating because he's an old man, but like, even then they didn't do too much with it.
I think it went horribly wrong when COVID started, and then it was just like, oh bollocks. But it doesn't
I
make.
mean, it's still Sean Spears. I've never really Ty Dillinger. I've not really seen much entertainment value. It's all subjective, right? But
I
I was
thought the
never
promo he did was good. It's just I don't know. It's just
I feel like he should still be coming out with a chair and just carrying on twatting people with the chair and being the chairman.
that's what I thought he would have done, but he was just like
He just basically becomes the Sandman.
perfect.
Yeah,
That'll do.
sure.
Well done. Well,
I love
speaking of people with Singapore canes, Sam, Hikaru Shida defeated Nyla Rose to become the third AEW Women's World Championship in a no disqualification and no count-out match.
It became the championship.
She became the champion.
It's almost like Rio should never have been Rio, and it should have always been Shida from the start.
All right, I was gonna
Yep.
say, like, why has this title changed hands like 3 times already?
I have one word, Kenny. That's it.
Kenny?
Kenny. That's the reason. Like, it had to have been. But then,
What do you mean that's the reason? Oh, I know who you're talking about now. Yeah, okay, sure.
right? But the
That
thing
makes
is,
sense.
the thing is though,
But she's
apparently,
good.
but
I mean, I've
but-
seen like clips of her and Hikaru Shida. She's pretty
she's
cool.
not terrible or anything. But
No, she's great, but
Yeah,
Rio
she's really good.
should have been in Rio's spot at the start.
Well, I don't dislike Riho either, from what I've seen.
because apparently Shida was touring in Japan at the time that Shida was, and Shida, it's like basically one is touring and the other champion is on AEW, right?
You're Shida now. My name is Riho. No, shut the fuck up. Your name is Shida.
So basically, what I'm trying to say is there was like they were on alternate tours, so that's the reason why
Well,
They
you just
gave
you literally swap them out as if they're the same person.
No. They're three individual people who've held the belt, you big jagweed. But my point is,
Yeah,
that's the reason why. That's actually the reason why they didn't put the belt on Shida to begin with, because she wasn't actually available at the time, and the only two people that were available were Nyla and Rio. So that's
break
kind of builds in
bitches.
comparison to our division, really, which has like 12 women already. It's pretty great.
That division it's leaps and bounds better than where it was like 6 months ago.
I
And
feel
it's
like
almost
they're
like
still
Nyla not being this made it better somehow.
they're still looking for their Gail Kim to their Awesome Kong, which is Nyla Rose right now.
I don't think it's.
Stussy says that they miss Bea Priestley. I wish she was the champion.
Oh,
Is
I
Bea
wish
knocking
she
around
was-
at all?
I wish she was more permanent with the company because Bea Priestley is great.
Yeah, I
she's-
really like what I see
But
of
she
her.
has too many commitments for them to like give her anything decent.
Well, she's mostly performing for Stardom, I believe. Well, I think she's tagging with Jamie Hayter at the moment, from what I've heard.
Right.
Well,
And apparently Kylie Ray isn't with AEW either anymore.
oh, she's in Impact, isn't she?
Oh, don't bring that up. The
Okay.
internet's like saying that.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Well, speaking of things, John Moxley defeated Mr. Brody Lee in a singles match via technical submission to retain the AEW World Heavyweight Championship.
Remind me what that means.
So basically, it's a referee stoppage. So
Oh, okay.
Brody didn't tap, but because he's passed out, the match is over.
Good. Make him look strong. I always prefer that because as much as like a submission finish is fine where you tap out, that's cool. It's just cooler to not tap out, to just be like,
Do we have room to be negative? Some
of
more?
course.
Yeah.
This is what I've heard.
hate.
People don't like Brody Lee.
I like Brody Lee when he is basically Bruiser Brody,
Right.
but he's not. He's putting a suit on, pretending to be some smart businessman, which
He's
he's
pretending
not.
to be Vince. Like that's the
And
whole
he-
thing.
but
His skits
he's-
are like parodying Vince.
That's not who he is. Like he could be a cult leader in another way, maybe like Charles Manson or something, or heaven forbid, like the Wyatt family. But I just don't buy him as the head of that group. Like, who's the blonde guy in the commercials for this whole thing? He should be the leader, even if he's an actor. Just have him as the leader. Like, you need someone who actually feels like they're doing that.
You thought Brody Lee was the leader. No, it's Steve.
Like, even if he was just some weird hippie guy that does yoga and like has loads of followers, that would make sense.
I would.
But he's just in the suit.
I don't mind Brody Lee's the leader. The thing that I'm bothered by is like the suit and like it's. They claim it's not a Vince parody, but Doy. But the other thing is like I don't. The Dark Order's been weird in its entirety. It went from being this weird, goofy thing to being really good, and its peak was the bit where it's like, oh, who's the exalted one? Who's the leader? And then it's like Brody Lee, and everyone's like, oh, it's Brody Lee, good. And then immediately, the next week, it's like, I'm at a conference table with people in a suit. And as soon as that happened, I was like,
Did you sneeze? There
Yeah, and
is to be no sneezing. I am definitely a parody of Vince McMahon.
Yeah, and then at that point, it was like, this is complete bollocks. Like, it just lost me at that point. And then,
This is what happens. This is every fucking employee that leaves this company. Some of them just have to go on and be like, by the way, I didn't like working there. They held me down.
But you don't
I'm
see-
Damien Sandow in TNA.
like, you don't see John Moxley being like a Shane McMahon fucking parody, like wiggling his arms around and doing "Here comes the money."
Here comes-
No, he's John Bloody Moxley. You
Here comes the
Beckers.
loony.
Like, it's just stupid. And like when it was announced that he was going after the belt, I was like, he is not winning, is he? And that was like that was literally the moment I'm like, John is. I took a piss during this match because I
Wow.
knew. I mean, it was getting late at this point. as well, and I drunk too many cups of tea.
I needed to empty my bladder, and there was no better time.
Well, yeah, because I know he's not going to fucking lose to Brody fucking Lee, is he?
You want to miss the Stadium Stampede, did you?
Exactly, which is the next match, and it was
They
fun.
should have just done. They just should have been no leader. Like he's just constantly. It's just a cult with no leader that we can find. Like I don't know, the QAnon thing. And I don't know if anyone knows about that shit on the internet. But like, just have all these weird incels and everyone following the group, but without an actual confirmed leader.
Should have just been incel group. Job done. That's it. That's all you need to fucking do. Not hello. I wear a suit and I look like I don't know. I have shaved for 8 years.
Someone else in. Like, what's the exalted one? Does that mean leader? Maybe not. Maybe there's someone else that usurps him as a higher up.
Should have been Matt Hardy.
Also, that 10 guy, whoever 10 is,
Ty Dillinger.
He's jacked.
Not Ty Dillinger. There's literally a character called 10.
Who's that guy? Do we know who that actually is? Because he's actually pretty
10.
good.
He's 10.
I was secretly hoping, like, I know they've got different builds, but I was secretly hoping that would be Brian Cage. They just unmask him one day and he's like, "Fuck you, I'm Brian Cage."
Oh my God, it's Brian Cage, also known as 10.
Well,
also known as Taz, friend.
Where's Taz? His friend.
Before we go, we need to talk about the Stadium Stampede.
I loved every bit of this that I saw.
This is what I wanted at WrestleMania.
Money in the Bank.
And Money in the Bank. Like, for me, I don't like the cinematic weird matches because it's wrestling. And in my viewpoint,
they do it wrong.
Yeah, they do it wrong, and not only that, like, with wrestling, there's a certain tropes and stuff that you come to expect in the world of wrestling. And if it's filmed like a fucking movie, it's weird.
Oh, you mean you don't like Stephanie McMahon, like 2 weeks later behind a white green screen as if she's looking through a doorway?
And Brother Love coming out the toilet and Rey Mysterio being like, yeah.
Like, it was just weird. And the other thing, what makes the Boneyard match good was it was like an actual match. The problem was it was filmed like a fucking movie. The problem with the Funhouse match was it was an actual match. Sort of. No, actually, take that back. It wasn't an actual match. It was just a mindfuck. And
I'll still stand behind that being a very good event.
But it was filmed like an actual match. And I said, you need to, if you're going to do these weird segments and off the wall crazy matches during the new normal, you have to film it like it's an actual match, but have all the weird hijinks happen anyway.
That's what AEW have done.
And that's what we did with the Stadium Stampede. It was filmed.
So what is the Stadium Stampede? What is it for those who don't know?
Okay, so basically it was a matchup that took place at the Philadelphia Eagles Stadium. I don't know what it's actually called.
No, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars.
What did I say?
You said Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, I'm an idiot then, aren't I? I meant to say Jacksonville Jaguars Stadium. Right?
How do you get those two confused, Andrew? They're in Florida, not Philly.
And they're not even, I was going to say, like, one's a bird and one's, like, a cat, but that doesn't make any fucking sense. Anyway, the point is, it's a big cat, okay? Right, the point is it's filmed...
Respect Jackson like that. It
was in the stadium, and they both start off and they run towards each other like it's Braveheart, and they just like they kind of had a match at first, and then there's like high spots. Yeah, there's a ring in the middle of this giant stadium. I never watched
a ring in all of the clips I watched.
Well, this is the thing. Then it kind of just moves on, and everybody kind of splinters off into different areas. It was basically
just a very, very, very well executed classic hardcore match.
Exactly, and it even had like Matt Hardy changing in the lake of... There's a swimming pool at the stadium. What?
And he's doing his hand signs under the water for his different characters.
And he changes into these different characters. It's amazing.
The fact, Matt, that was amazing.
Oh my god. And the thing is, like...
And the horse.
And the horse.
Oh yeah.
Adam Cole. Adam Cole, that's a
Adam
different man,
Cole?
my lord.
Adam Cole showed up in the company, even though he's the NXT champion, and he was on a horse for some reason.
Adam Page.
Adam Page.
Yes, he
Did
was
some cowboy shit.
on a horse. And it was really good. Like, you haven't seen this match, go out your way to see it. It's hard to explain because it's just what it is. It's so hard to explain.
I just hate all this decent shit happens and there's no audiences. Fuck.
Yeah, but you couldn't do that match with an audience, could you?
Yeah, you could.
Could you?
Just have people in the stands, and Sammy Guevara come out and just like go through all these people.
Also, Sammy Guevara could sell getting run over by a train and he'd be fine.
Yeah, everything I love about Sammy Guevara is just how he interacts with the environment around him.
From his first match, you see this skinny kid coming out thinking, "Who is this indie fucking nobody?"
Yeah, I literally thought that.
To now, he's one of the best characters on the show.
Yeah, easily. And the thing is as well, like the actual like match itself, I thought was paced really well. Like the different almost
it wasn't like
segments of the
WWE.
match.
It wasn't like the fucking Money in the Bank thing where you get like 10 minutes of people just grunting into walls. Like this actually went somewhere.
Because there was even a point in the match where Adam Page, not to be confused with Adam Cole, was like,
Even though you might for some reason.
because they have long hair and both called Adam, I don't know. And Adam Page was drinking, and then like Jake Kager was
J.K. Kager.
he basically just like pulls up next to him and just starts drinking with him, and he's like, wait a minute, and then you start fighting. Great, like
And he
that's
dragged
fine.
him off the bar as well. That classic bit. That was fun.
Yeah, I don't mind goofiness in wrestling.
You
Just do
don't?
it, but just do it within the parameters of wrestling. It was basically, like Keelan said, it was basically a hardcore match that was done back in the day, but a bit more athletic, and it actually had a story behind
roll, if you will.
it. And it was very good. If you haven't seen it, go see it. Pay
Go watch
for it.
Buy it.
Buy it.
Buy the shit.
Do it. It was very good.
And that was the event, right?
That
The
was
Elite
the
One
event.
match?
Yes, the Elite One. The other thing that I've been reminded of is obviously the Khan family obviously own that stadium, and I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe.
It's a very, very good looking arena. They're lucky to have that to tape in because like the palm trees and shit, like it just looks nice.
And that's the thing. One day, maybe, and this is an optimistic thing that I'm going to end this show on, is maybe at some point, one day, they'll be able to do a show there, and they wouldn't have to pay for the bloody building because they.
Oh, you
own
mean
it?
You mean in the actual giant stadium bit?
Yeah, they could, in theory, one day, maybe. Who knows?
They were supposed to come to London.
Were they? When was that?
News, I think it broke yesterday. The next Fighter Fest was supposed to be in London, and they would do a show in London, and it was going to be Moxley versus Brian Cage, but we have a fucking virus stopping it.
And to top it all off, I heard rumors that they were going to debut Marty Scurll at that show.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry you don't have that anymore.
You know what? No, you know what? No, I can't invite them to my Andy's Garden Wrestling because they can't come to my garden because it's not it's not allowed.
why can't it be Woodstock '69 where they had Hong Kong flu but they didn't know how bad it was, so they all fucking jumped in a giant muddy field and no one cared or knew? Why can't we do that?
Mainly
We'd
because
all die.
Yeah, I
They
think that's
didn't
the
all
reason.
die.
Yeah, but probably a
We're
lot
all
of them
gonna
did.
die.
Like, what the fuck?
Only Andy will die because he's Andy. We'll be fine.
He's not a real boy. His immune
I-
system isn't the same as ours.
I'm sorry, Keelan Cummings. What are you talking about?
No, it'd probably actually be me that would die. Oh well. I would risk it.
It would be funny.
What is happening?
Oh my god.
Well, on
So
that-
that's been the Suplah, right?
Well, that weird note, that's probably a good way to end it on. So I need to plug some
Yeah.
things. So we're obviously on YouTube. Hello. We are on Facebook and Twitter. If you pop in the Suplah, you will find us on there. We have a gaming channel. I don't know if we up to date it anymore. That's not a sentence. But you can find us at Suplah Gaming. Just search for that and you'll find us there. We do sell merch. Does anyone buy it? Nope. But you can if you like. Go to redbubble.com/people/the and you will find us there. We also have an EWR series that I do called Andy Loves Playing EWR. And, you can go back and watch my magical hijinks of Andy's garden wrestling. It's not good. I mean, the series is good, but my company, it's not. What else is there, Samuel?
What about Brawl?
Yeah, Suplah Brawl came out last week. It's rigged and it's total bullshit.
Of course it is.
No spoilers, but it's rigged. And
Salty Sally.
you can go back and watch that. It's on our channel, and yeah. Anyway, so Sam, anything else I've forgotten before we go?
Nah, fuck off.
Alright, so I'm gonna hit the intro.
The intro? You're gonna hit the intro, are you?
It's actually the outro I'm playing, so I did it without thinking. Say goodbye, Sam.
Oh. Goodbye, Sam.
Say goodbye, Keelan.
Goodbye.
And we will see you next week, possibly sometime. Who knows?
Who knows? Maybe never again.
No, don't say that, Jesus Christ. We will be back.